Welcome back, fight fans. I'm AmiPolizeiFunk. It's time for Sunday Night Fights. This is episode 6. We got contender bout number 3 coming up for you guys. It's going to be a hot one. Barton PL versus OMG Pop. Y'all ready for this? And of course, before we get that started, we have a special guest. This guy over here. What's up? Jeffery Simpson, straight from Vancouver. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a bit early. Arsenal tied today, and I'm a bit disappointed about that.
You're an Arsenal fan. You follow Premier League football.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, also follow the MLS. I'm a Whitecaps fan, but yeah, it was before coming here. I'm in the studio today. Before coming here, there's a nice breakfast place, the Arsenal Supporters Club of Vancouver meets
no kidding.
On the weekends.
Cool.
So I had an Eggs Benedict, watched the game, and then enjoyed a beer, came up here. And,
enjoyed a beer in the morning. Rock on,
yeah, exactly.
Sunday morning, why not?
Yeah, this is my excuse. I'm talking to you.
It sounds pretty good. So did you say Arsenal won or lost?
They drew with Everton.
They drew.
All.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not up to date on Premier League football, but how are they? Are they top of the charts? Or is it all
They're
Manchester United as usual?
No, top of the charts,
really?
Top of the table.
Okay.
Man U's somewhere in the middle. They're having a hard year after changing.
They're fun
Alex
to root
Ferguson
against.
retired.
They're like the New York Yankees of Premier League football, the big money team. So they have it's kind of like Bayern Munich in Germany. They're the big money team, the huge market, and so they're also fun to root against.
Definitely, yes.
All right, so you are the community manager of Company of Heroes at Relic Entertainment, and this is your second stint at Relic, if I'm correct. When did you first work at Relic?
So I started right around the time when Company of Heroes Online was launching in North America. So I came on board before then to help the then community manager, Graham. Otherwise known to many of you as Thunder.
Right.
Yeah. He needed some help. We were expanding. We were working on more projects, and I came on to kind of be his assistant, his right-hand man, as it were.
What year was that?
That was 3 years ago. So
just 3 years ago. So not too long ago. Because
exactly.
Co's been around for, 7 years now or something?
So I wasn't there at the start of Co. The expansion packs had all come out by then. This was, the free-to-play online version that we were trying to launch.
Right.
Exactly, yeah. So this was before the last Co balance patch, but after all the exciting stuff with the expansions and the initial launch.
And then you went to EA for a while.
I did. So, I mean, things got a bit dicey with THQ. They were looking to move community managers all in-house down in California.
Right.
And So they had asked me to relocate to LA, and even with they were going to give me a bit more money, but I did not like the idea of moving down for a company whose future wasn't as secure as it may have been.
So you saw it coming back then.
I had my worries.
Uh-huh.
Plus, I like Vancouver, and
are you Canadian born and raised?
I am Canadian born in Edmonton. Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of had this offer from EA, came in at about the same time, and I weighed the two, and I stuck in Vancouver, went out to EA Sports in Burnaby. Spent a year there working on NHL, SSX, and started working on the UFC game that's in development there as well.
Cool. And then back to Relic, so which we all know about because you sort of came back as Code 2 was launching, and you took the reins from Lynx, who has now moved to EA. So you guys are trading. It's like baseball cards, like trading cards.
Every year we're going to switch jobs.
Yeah. Well, LA is my hometown. I'm going to be going back there for Christmas. I'm really excited. I fly out in 2 weeks from Friday, so that's my hometown. I'm a LA kid through and through. Maybe I'll hook up with some of those guys. Not sure.
Yeah, I was just through LA last month. I had some time off. We drove down from Vancouver to California. Driving through LA was pretty terrible. I don't know how.
Oh yeah, it is.
Handle it on
it always is.
Basis.
Freeways is horrible. But were you able to get off the beaten track though and enjoy California though? I mean, did you have a good time?
Yes, I had a good time. My parents are of the age where they're what's called up here snowbirds, so they basically spent the winter down in Palm Springs. So
that's my objective. I'm trying to get away from the Berlin winters. They're pretty rough.
Yeah, so it was we stayed with them. It was a free, basically a free trip apart from the gas up and down.
And speaking of free trips, you were just in London to meet with Sega, right?
Yeah, so I flew actually out of LAX to London because it fell right kind of in my time off, and went to the Sega of Europe offices in London.
Can you tell us anything about those meetings? I mean, was that just kind of a general meet and greet, or?
It was a little bit of a meet and greet, a little bit of idea sharing, and it was really my first time to be able to interact with other Sega employees, except through email, and the time you were here when Julian and Dan were up as well. So yeah, it was really exciting to be able to talk to my equivalent from a bunch of different studios, including Three Rings, including Sports Interactive, which
so they brought
football.
People in from all of their studios. Nice.
Yeah, and Creative Assembly, those guys,
cool.
I think is where we share the most kind of commonality.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing exciting video stuff. I don't know if you've seen their Hot Pepper Gaming review for Rome 2. It's pretty, it's well worth watching. I'd recommend it. And also they did the best unboxing video I've ever seen, where they are attacked by dogs while trying to open their game.
Okay, we'll look for when are those going to show?
They've been out since before launch. They've been on YouTube. If you do, search Hot Pepper Gaming Rome 2 and Rome
Hot
2.
Pepper Gaming, all right.
And Rome 2 unboxing or collector's edition unboxing.
We're giving away Rome 2 Total War tonight, so that's pretty exciting. So I have to thank you on behalf of the viewers. One of you guys out there is going to win that tonight. We'll do that at the end of the show. All you have to do to be eligible to win that and many other great prizes that we're going to give away tonight is press the follow button on the Sunday Night Fights channel, and then we'll do the raffle. We'll do one between sort of games 2 and 3, and then we'll do the Rome 2 grand prize at the end. So thank you, Jeffrey, for providing those. Let's talk about Company of Heroes, shall we? Let's start with Co 1. Why not? There's been activity in Co 1 lately, and you now have a beta running, which is getting updates. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so what we're here to talk about is what we're calling the Two Fronts update, and it's an update for both Company of Heroes 2.
Fronts.
Yeah, and
okay, I get it. Two fronts as in Co 1 and Co 2. All right.
Exactly. So
Western Front and Eastern Front covered.
Yes. So some of you, most of you, I assume, know about the beta we're running for Company of Heroes, and what we've been doing since May, when we've had to move our servers from the old Quasal servers, which the game had been on since launch. Is we lost a lot of features, unfortunately, and that sucked, and we weren't happy about it. But it's just part of what we had to do in order to keep the game alive. So we've been working slowly but surely on building those features up, adding them back to the game, and kind of getting everything figured out. We're working with Smoking Gun Interactive. They're a local company in Vancouver. A lot of former Relic employees are on it. A lot of people from the original COH team, so they know the game really well. They were the perfect people to bring in for this. So what we're doing now is we're kind of getting to the final stages of it. We've got a beta going on that anyone who owns the game can join in, test things out, and give us feedback on how the networking features are working. Now, it's a beta, and it's a little shaky at times. We released an update on Friday. From what I've seen on co2.org and some other forums, it may have been one step forward, two steps back situation with this update. But that's why it's a beta. We're going to update it again. We're going to look on Monday at all the feedback, figure out what's going on, and address it and keep moving forward. We were hoping to be able to launch the full game, the finished product, on December 10th. We're not going to be able to probably because, but we're still working on it. And it's,
the full
really
Co-1 relaunch, you're saying?
Yeah, so basically
just like replace the old one entirely and then launch the new one. So, so not December 10th, but soon thereafter, once the kinks are ironed out.
Exactly. So we're going to keep working on it, and your feedback has been invaluable. Unfortunately, it's not a thing we're able to have a huge QA department on, as when games launch, we normally have hundreds of people thrown at it, and are able to invest a lot of time in making sure everything's working.
So that's why just quickly, how does someone play in the Company of Heroes beta?
Sure. So in Steam, click the Company of Heroes, the brackets new Steam version. Go into properties. There's a beta tab. Pull it down. There should be one beta listed. Select that. There will be a field for a password. There's no password. Anyone can join.
Okay.
This isn't something we're hiding. Don't fill out the password. Just click OK. It'll update, and you're in.
All right, great. So players, get in there, get into that co-beta, give some feedback. So where should they post the feedback? On Sega forums or the new Company of Heroes forums, or where?
The new Company of Heroes forums, at the bottom, there's a beta feedback on the Company of Heroes section. There's also a forum on the Steam forums, if that's where they're giving feedback.
All right, keeping the original Company of Heroes alive. That's fantastic. Yeah. Like to hear it. Let's move on now and talk about what's coming up for Company of Heroes 2. There will be an update in December. Can you give us a date on the launch?
December 10th. That's why we're aiming to have
so day after tomorrow.
Yes.
Wow. All right. It's right around the corner. And so this update will include a new theater of war. So please talk to me about the various missions or campaigns that you can play in the new theater of war.
All right. So this is the new theater of war. It's called the Southern Front's Theater of War Attack. And actually, I did not do a full count on how many are in here. But we've got 2 challenge missions. Spring Rasputina and Occupation, both challenge missions, and then we have a bunch of AI battles. We've got 4 Soviets, 4 Germans, so I guess 8 AI battles, and we've got Retreat to the Donets for Soviet, Panzer Crossing, also Soviet, Breaking Lines, and No Retreat and No Surrender for Soviets. For the Germans, you'll be playing Storming the Donets, Heavy Rain, General Mud, and Kharkov Divide.
Wow. Okay, a lot of stuff, and it's interesting. Well, the theater of war. If I'm correct, the first bunch of missions were 1942. Are we progressing? Are the years going up yet, or are we still 1943? Or what's the time frame of this update?
I should have checked on that. I actually don't have that answer. Sorry. But yeah, definitely having the years progress was part of the initial design. I would assume this is progressing as well, but actually I do not have that information, so I'm sorry.
Are we
If I'm
checking
wrong,
that?
I apologize.
I liked how the last one dealt with defending at Stalingrad and at Leningrad, and was really, I mean, it was where the Soviet army had their backs up against the wall, and it was like not one step back, and they had to turn it. So I guess maybe in this pack we're starting to push back the Soviets against the Germans. So we can follow that through. And you also have new maps coming with this update, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so we've got 2 free maps, and this is very exciting. We've got Hill 331, I think, map familiar to some of you.
So that's a conversion from Company of Heroes.
That is a conversion, and it's coming in 6 to 8 player form.
Wow, that was my favorite 3v3 map, I must say.
It's an excellent one. Greg Wilson, who the previous guest, was talking about how it was one of his favorites as well.
That's a great map. I have my own gaming memories from incredible battles on that map. That would be, if there was ever sort of a clan war or a 3v3, that was the go-to map. And I just remember the lighting on that map was at sunset. And it was kind of different from many of the other co-maps. And if you spun the camera around and looked over the hills, you know, there's like a Calliope shooting or a big tank battle, as there inevitably were in the center. You got this amazing view. So I'm very curious to see the conversion into Co2. I expect it to be epic. That hill, it's just fighting for the hill. It's just like a classic war scenario. I think there's probably been a hill battle in every war that's ever taken place. So this should be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. This is, conversion. A lot of people say, well, just grab all the files, throw them into Co2, and you're done, right? That's what people assume goes into converting these maps. It's a lot of work actually changing them from Co1 to Co2. A lot of, it's a different file format, a lot of different stuff, and there's also artwork that goes in it. We have to make things vaultable because we've added that element. And I think in L331, there's something actually extra special that we'll talk about a bit later. It's been added.
Okay, cool. Some of my buddies are working on maps and converting maps. You guys, the World Builder's out. It's free to anyone, and we've got some tutorials for it by Uncle Sam, and there's a great guide by White Flash, and the world building section on co2.org is pretty active, so get in there. You got questions, they're going to be answered by experts, and even some Relic developers pop their heads in and check out what's going on and provide feedback. And so the World Builder is in effect. That was a feature that you guys wanted, and Relic delivered it, so let's explore it. Let's go to it. Let's make maps. I'm looking forward to seeing all your new maps and playing on them.
Yeah, and we also have the Dawn River, also as a free map going in. It's a 2 to 4 player map, and that will be going in. And again, like all of our maps, everything is free, no charge. Everyone gets them. They'll be in the game on Tuesday.
All right, cool. I think we've seen some of your devs streaming and playing some matches. I think I'm familiar with Dawn River. All right, let's talk a little bit about the balance patch that's coming up. Each balance patch, the notes are so long. Where do we begin?
So we're slowing down in terms of big balance patches, because we knew that was throwing things off. It took a while for people to adjust, and I think we're starting to hone in on where we're happy with balance. So we're trying to limit the 16-page balance notes.
Yeah.
So, but I'll kind of go through them. I'm never a fan of sharing balance notes too far ahead because I worry a lot about people arguing over math. Just kind of how I put it. It's really good to have the changes in the game for people to play, but I'll give you a few things.
Okay.
So the commanders are definitely something that people talk about. We released commanders last time, and a couple of them have had some changes. The Soviet Industry Commander, it no longer increases the build time of Soviet building. Sorry, that probably should be decreases because that sped up the build time. So the build time is kind of back to normal. Mm-hmm. Building health reduced from 600 HP to 300 HP. That's the Soviet repair station. The Tiger Ace, the CP has increased from 7 to 8. Where else are we here? But the income penalty now only lasts 10 minutes. So that's sort of the big changes to the commanders. In terms of kind of general gameplay, we've got the building cover reduced from 50% reduced damage plus 50% reduced accuracy to 35% reduced damage plus 35 reduced accuracy. The moving penalty, moving vehicles now receive 2 times scatter penalty in addition to the 0.5 accuracy penalty. And command point system, we've scaled the system by 2. I'm not actually, the problem is I'm not the balance expert. That's Brad, that's Peter's kind of gig. So I'm reading these. I haven't played them, and I'm not always the expert on these. We've also done changes to the German PaK 40 AT gun, reduced the cost from 360 to 320. The German MG 42 machine gun suppression value has been increased by 10%. Soviets, we've got the sandbags, build time reduced from 120 seconds to 80 seconds. The Maxim's got rotation speed reduction from 225 degree arc per second to 180 degree arc per second. Soviet DSK 38 damage reduced from 16 to 12. Soviet ZIS AT gun cost reduced 360 MP to 320.
That's a good one.
I think I've hit everything, but the full patch notes will be out on the 10th, so you can take a look. And these are also preliminary. They may change, get tweaked a bit. There's a bunch of community guys in a beta that are getting to play these, and hopefully their feedback's being incorporated, and we kind of can figure out with them what's the best way to go. So hopefully these changes are making you happy, and you'll see the full list without me stuttering and making mistakes, on Tuesday.
All right, great. We'll look forward to that, and we'll also look forward to getting either Peter or Braden in here on SNF so we can really pick their brains about the details of how the balance of Code 2 is progressing. I noticed that you didn't mention new commanders being available with this next update. I guess everybody in the chat was expecting a bunch of more DLC commanders piled on, but Relic has decided not to do that. Is that kind of a reaction to some of the feedback that you've received, or the data?
Yeah, so you mentioned data, and data is one of the big things that kind of we're looking at. We can see how people are playing the game, when they're playing the game, how long they're playing the game. And one of the great things about the last update was that we gained some new players, but we brought a lot of players back into the game who would, put the game aside for other things. So we saw an increase in November of players returning to the game. The other thing is we did not see a decrease of players who played in October leaving the game. The decrease is about 1%. So some players do leave for various reasons, no matter how good a game is. But most players who played in October played in November, and in fact, more returning players returned in November and stuck around. And so that's really exciting. It's exciting news. We also got an influx of new players. That was largely through some very good sales that we had. I would have liked to have been buying the game around the end of the month. It was at a pretty good price. So those are some of the numbers we look at. We look at what people are using. We can see what commanders are being deployed. But we're the phrase is data-driven, but we're not a data-driven gaming studio. We're what's called data-informed. It's the phrase the analytics team likes to use, because we don't let
data-informed by the analytics team. Sounds so fancy.
Yeah, we don't let the math make the decisions for us. We're still human beings.
Okay.
We're still, we have our preferences, and we read the forums. We take in feedback from as many people as possible, and the code2.org people, the fans on the forums, fans on Steam, Facebook, Twitter. You guys are excellent, because you always tell us what you like and what you don't like, and you're very vocal about it.
They are. I can vouch for that.
Sometimes it's a bit scary, but we're used to worse. And so that's great. And we take that into consideration. But there's a huge swath of people who don't speak up, who just play the game, then they go, and they don't think about the game much when they're not playing it. So that's what the data helps us kind of track what they like, what they're playing. But we also take in, as I said, your guys' feedback. And so that's kind of suggested that maybe we're being a bit too disruptive of the game balance and of how you, as a competitive community and the core community, were playing the game by releasing new commanders on such a regular basis.
That's so important to us. Let me just emphasize that I've heard the shout box is full of it, the forums, even this chat here tonight. It's encouraging that you guys decided not to release commanders with this next patch, because that shows that you are actively responding to the feedback that you're getting from the competitive community. I hope that we can further balance the new commanders that are out, because even with these coming changes, I don't think that I want to see a Tiger Ace in the next SNF, even with this CP change. So I hope that that's a continual process. And I'm glad that you guys are listening to us. It's very encouraging. Let's move on to some other features that are coming out. There's so much left. We don't have that much more time. Steam Workshop is coming with the next patch. Yeah. So, we talked about maps, and the community maps have been great. The feedback I'm getting from the map makers is that the maps you guys are making are top notch, that they'd love to get some of them in the game. The problem with maps has always been, and this went back to the original game as well, is that there's really no good way to share maps. You can put them on ch2.org, that's great. It's a great resources, I'm glad it's there, but the average person is never going to go to a fan site and download a map. It needs to be idiot-proof. Point and click.
It needs to be
right?
Exactly.
It needs to be like a plugin. Yeah,
and this is why iTunes and the iPod worked, right? Because it was so easy, your mother could do it. And so to get your mother playing custom-made maps, we've got Steam Workshop's integration. So it's just a click, you subscribe to a map, it is automatically put in your game, you're able to play on it, custom games. If the map's updated, then the map in your game will be updated. So
that's cool.
It's that easy. And in terms of if you're a map maker, you upload it to this Steam Workshop, and then it's available for every player of Company of Heroes 2.
Excellent.
It's not just going to be the hundreds of people on Code 2, the thousands of people on Code2.org. It's going to be everybody.
Everybody who has the game. They'll see it right there on Steam. That's cool. Map makers, get on it. Relic's giving you a platform to share your maps, so I want to see you guys using them.
Yeah, and we're starting with maps now, but it's something that we do expect to build out over the next months, years, to the point where we're able to support kind of more detailed mods. I think we all have favorite mods from the original game that we would love to see able to implement with the click of a button, as opposed to the sometimes arduous process that it is now. So we're very excited about Steam Workshop.
So mods in particular, you mentioned before the show that there might be sort of another 2 steps back, 1 step forward. What's going on with mods and dev mode with Code 2? You mentioned changes are coming.
So I think it's more 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We unfortunately we've made a security adjustment to the game, or will be on the 10th. That's going to cut off one of the ways that currently modders are using to make mods.
Spaghetti-O, look out, modders. V1 incoming.
And
they can handle it, though. Here's the thing about modders, though. They're badasses. You give them a little blockade, and they can code their way around it or do what they need to do to make it work anyway. So I'm not too worried about them.
But this is something we talked specifically to you and Marcus earlier, making sure, because you use one of these mods, you use the replay mod.
I do.
Which allows you to put a bunch of fancy stats
That's
up
right.
on the
We
screen.
show both resources at once. Custom mod by Jan252.
And so this security change is specifically designed to protect the game and keep it free from map hackers and other ways of cheating and exploiting. And unfortunately, it's a trade-off between the the handful of great mods that are out there, and making sure no one does come up with. We haven't seen a working map hack yet, but we want to keep it that way. So we're being proactive in kind of addressing security concerns. But as you mentioned, we are enabling the -dev mode, which is going to be our way of opening things up a bit more to modding in a way that's we're going to do to protect the game as well, while making sure you guys can create the great content you do.
That's one thing that I love to do, make splash screens and videos, and having dev mode allows me to remove UI elements and really show the beauty of the game, the textures and the scenarios. So I'm looking forward to having dev mode back. And you mentioned that you're going to cover for Jan and provide some of these replay features straight out of the box. Tell us about those.
Yes. So we've got basically two additions to the replay. We asked you, hey, what do you use this mod for, and what's the kind of end result? So if we take this functionality right away, Sunday Night Fights doesn't end, and everyone's sad. So you told us what you used it for, and so we added that in natively as part of the replay. So replays will have the ability to display the resources of all players at once.
Yes.
And we're adding additional stats: damage, units killed, units lost, and that'll all be in the player list. So that is also
that's great. I can right now say thank you on behalf of so many people that cast Company of Heroes 2 who have been laboriously overlaying like double runs through on YouTube. You guys don't have to do that anymore. It's going to be in the game. So on behalf of all of the community of casters and myself as a SNF broadcaster, thanks for putting those replay features into the game. I can't wait to see them.
Yeah, we're very excited, and all credit goes to the the programmers and the server techs who work on this, and kind of noticed that when they were closing the security hole that they were going to be breaking things. A lot of times something like that may have gone unnoticed, and it wouldn't have been until you wrote me a stern letter on that Sunday saying, hey, none of this stuff works anymore.
I included a picture with a circle just to be extra
exactly.
sure. Yeah, no, it's important. The viewers, to be able to follow a competitive match. It's nice to see both players' resources at the same time. And it'll be just great that all my co-casters now can have that running as well. It'll help them cast the games better. There's another new improvement coming. You mentioned, what was the first mission that you mentioned in the Theater of War? It's a Russian name. What's it called? Or Hill as well.
Well, we thought
you said it was Spring.
But there is Spring Rasputia challenge.
Now, I know that as, does that have to do with the new tech that we're talking about?
Well, you also might have heard me say Heavy Rain as a German AI battle. And
Heavy
General
Rain.
Mud.
Yeah, General Mud. Here we go.
Everyone remembers General Winter.
This is so cool. So, can I say it? Mud Tech is incoming. It's going to be awesome. It was such a huge aspect of World War II. You got this great snow tech. I mean, it's just like the natural next step is to bring in the mud, which was more terrible than it had ever been. In the plains across Russia, tanks got bogged down in it. And can you tell us any little details about how it'll work?
So I don't know the technical stuff, but I think one of the things that the team that went to Russia, kind of in the pre-production stage, noticed is they definitely noticed snow. They went in the winter, but they learned a lot about in terms of, snow wasn't the worst thing. Mud, because snow melts, you can get it out of stuff. Mud is just, it gets everywhere. It is terrible. And when snow melts, you got that much snow, it's going to make some mud. So mud was
thinking now. I'm wondering if tanks can sink in the mud. That could be cool.
So basically, we've adjusted the snow tech, and we introduced mud. There's a lot of slipping. There's a lot of sliding. Getting traction on mud isn't easy. It's a slog to wade through. You'll see some tank. I've seen the demos. The tanks sort of fishtailing around trying to get.
I like that.
Get traction on the muddy fields, and so it's going to be in a lot of the Theater of War missions, and. But we didn't want everything to be kind of stuck behind the paywall. We worked really hard on this.
Right.
We're very proud of it. So we did incorporate it into Hill 331, one of the two free apps, so that even if you don't buy the Theater of War, and you should buy the Theater of War, because it's good stuff in there. But if you didn't want to, you're a student, and you need to save your pennies for Christmas, you're hoping someone gets it to Steam. Until then, you can play Hill 331, get a small taste of the mud.
That's cool.
Before kind of we blow everything up. And I think maybe you'll start seeing some more mud. I think we're pretty happy with it in our internal testing. We'll see how you guys like it and what you guys do with it.
I am looking forward to this. I'm glad that that players will be able to play it free, that it's not, as you say, behind the paywall. That's great. And, if they enjoy it, and I'm sure they will, on Hill 331, what a sick map. That's a great map to use to premiere this new technology. So, and we get to do it on Tuesday. That's amazing. It's like, I'm drooling already. It's right around the corner. It'll be fun to check it out. 3v3 fights are very popular with this game, and I plan to get some of my Reborn buddies into auto match and rock some 3v3 on good old Hill 331. That'll be cool. All right, we're running a little long, Jeff.
Sorry about that.
It's fine. You had a lot of information to disperse. That's what we like. New information, new features on the way. We didn't even talk about match invite UI improvements. Just quickly tell us what that is.
Quickly, match invites. Everyone knows what happens when you get a match invite in co2.org. You got a Steam pop up on your window. It's easy to miss. A lot of people don't notice it. Right now, it comes. We've got a new one. You still get the Steam invite, but you get one in-game from the game client, right smack dab, kind of up by where your commander faceplate area is. So it's much more visible. You just click OK, you're in the game. Big green check mark. So it's definitely something. This is one of the things that we're doing to kind of improve the game and using data to kind of show us like what people are doing in our game and making everything easier for people.
Excellent. All right. Lastly, let's hear about Company of Heroes on social media. How can fans follow Relic's progress?
The most popular channel is Facebook. We've got almost 500,000 fans there. Those numbers are pretty high. It's a pretty big channel for us. So facebook.com/Company of Heroes. You get stuff about the old game, you get stuff about the new game, you get pictures. It's a very rich experience. Company Heroes, at Company Heroes Twitter, there's no of in there. Someone else had that. We couldn't get it.
They nicked it. Yeah.
I know.
Shorter is better though. So I just remember whenever I at you guys, Company Heroes. I mean, that's easy. Just no of. Yeah. Piece of cake. Easy to follow.
We've got our Twitch stream. I think one of the exciting things that I've been able to do since coming back is I really want us to be doing more cool video stuff. And I think, I mentioned what Creative Assembly is doing. I think we're right now leading Sega in terms of broadcasting on Twitch.
Nice. Yeah, you guys have been streaming a lot lately. I've noticed that.
Our stream's doing pretty good. Sega started their own Twitch channel as
did they?
Kind of how
I didn't know that.
Doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
They've just,
cool.
But we're really
tell them to register it on co2.org. Sega.
And they do a lot of typing in the data so far, what I've seen on there. So that looks like a fun game. But
okay.
Yeah, so it's something we hope to grow. We're having to prove that it's a valuable tool. So we're kind of, we don't have the funding of that we necessarily like on it, but we're kind of, showing people stats like, hey, here's how many people are watching. Here's what here's who's watching, and showing that it's a valuable tool, and we're getting better, getting more professional, kind of learning our way as we go. So this one's a work in progress, the Twitch channel. Whereas the other one, that's sort of our bread and butter. That's our kind of A-team all-star work. This is where we're finding our way along with you guys, and a lot of you guys have been very helpful, telling us how to improve, what kind of cameras to get, what kind of equipment to use. And so we're definitely thankful for that.
Yeah, looking good. I mean, I love that map background. You got me beat on backgrounds. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I would love to hook up a background like that. You got the Eastern Front. I can see you're surrounded by the great Russian plains that we plan to see covered in mud on Tuesday. All right, cool. So we got Company of Heroes Facebook. We got the official Twitter, Company Heroes, at Company Heroes. And, of course, we have the Twitch stream, Relic Entertainment. And they can follow you personally right there. There's Jeffery Simpson on Twitter, and you've been tweeting. And so, Jeff, thank thanks very much for joining us this morning in Vancouver. Any shout-outs you want to give quickly before we let you go?
Just a shout out to everyone who's been working hard in the community, giving us the feedback. I know sometimes it seems like we're not listening. If we haven't responded to a thread or we haven't implemented the change that you've asked for, but we're definitely listening to what you say. We talk about it internally a lot. Your feedback is very important, and sometimes some of it makes it through. And I think hopefully some of the stuff we've talked about today kind of demonstrates that we are listening and we are wanting to work with you guys to improve the game for everybody.
Cool. Jeffery Simpson, everybody. Relic Noun. You can see him on the forums. Company of Heroes forums got a new facelift, so get in the Co 1 beta. You can even get in the Co 2 beta, try out some of the stuff ahead of time, give feedback. Lots of ways to get involved in this community. Our arms are open. Jump on in there. All right, Jeff, thanks very much for showing up. We got Barton and OMG Pop coming up next. I'm going to be joined with Siberian as co-caster. Give us a minute or two to set that up. I'm going to take you guys to the break, and we'll be right back after these couple of songs. Thanks, Jeff. See ya.